Darren, I'm going to ask you for something real quick.
Yep.
What is the name of your sleepy little village that sits on the other side of the Barovian Mountains?
That would be Willowby. It's a large-ish village / smallish town that sits on a lake by a giant willow tree.
How big is this willow tree, just for reference?
It would be a defining landmark, level of big, like big enough that you would be able to see as you crest the Emerald Hills, to over the village.
Big enough to be a tourist attraction.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's one of those like you know how when you're traveling through the Midwest looking for like the that kind of shit. It's like it would definitely be like a landmark that
the
people,
world's biggest ball of paint.
Exactly, right. Like it's one of those things that people would include in their directions, as like, oh yeah, just like fucking turn right at the giant willow tree, you know, like go 50 miles down that way, turn right at the willow tree, you'll get to your destination.
I gotcha.
So it's that big.
So, Village of Willowby, medium to large-sized village. I imagine it's got a wooden palisade, one central road that kind of runs through, and maybe a few smaller dirt paths that run down little side roads. Population of, let's say about 200.
Sounds about appropriate. Yeah.
It's a pretty good size. And there are some other people who live nearby, who farm the land, who sometimes come into the village, usually during the harvest time, to try and sell their goods or to, buy supplies for the winter. Overall, pretty normal place. The kind of village you would expect to see anywhere. Perhaps its only real notable feature being the giant willow tree. So that makes what's been happening for the past week or so that much stranger. It's around, we'll say, mid-autumn. Usually by this time, the weather has started to get a little bit colder, a little bit drier. Things have started to, take a turn towards, and usually this is a pretty merry time in the village. This is usually when you have your harvest festivals. This is when the farmers come out in the fields to come and see the village folk and to spend time with extended family before, they head back to their farms for the winter and kind of wait things out. This particular autumn, though, is a little bit different. The summer rains came and they stayed, and they never really went. And what went from the usual kind of wet, mountainous weather has slowly become almost obnoxiously wet, raining on and off for days at a time, months turning to multiple months. And the harvest this year has been exceedingly poor. I imagine that as a member of the town watch, Jon, you've probably had a lot to deal with recently. A lot of the farmers have been essentially forced off of their farms, those living in the lowlands due to flooding. Some of them are here because the crops just weren't good enough. They'll have to pay to stay in the village over the winter. And all of these people cramped into such a small space has started to cause a lot of problems. And the strangeness of the weather has put people on edge. And recently, this has only been made that much worse by the fog that has slowly crept its way down the mountain and seems to have engulfed the land around it. You had hoped, perhaps, that with the fog coming, this might spell the end of this seemingly endless rainy season, but it hasn't. And now, during the days when the rain isn't pouring on the village, everyone is lost in a sea of fog. Let me ask you, Fiona, why have you come this way? And how are you traveling?
Alright, so Fiona would have been traveling here. Hold on. Can you come back to me in a second?
Okay, that's fine. Let me ask someone else then. Let me check everyone's names again. Balthazar. That'll be surprisingly an easy one to remember. Why are you headed this way? And how did you arrive in the village?
To the misty roads covered in muck and maybe some chilly weather is this thin, lean, tall man in a leather coat with a massive, like a really big backpack on his back. He's just walking. There's a cart with him, but most of his supplies are actually in this backpack. He met on the road. He met this tiefling. He's been searching for something, searching for maybe something exotic, something that'll make him rich, something that'll make him more famous among the scientists of Iron Ridge University. And he meets this tiefling, and they sit in an inn on the roadside inn. And he tells him, oh, you should totally go to Barovia. There's some big stuff in there. And he just gives him a bunch of stuff, and Balthazar falls for the trick, like hook, line, and sinker. And it's like, he looks up the mountains and he says, well, there is my destiny. I'll show those nerds who's better. And the cart starts moving ahead, and as he goes into the mist of Barovia.
Interesting. So you're headed this way chasing rumors of strange elixirs, powerful regents, exotic ingredients, and a chance, perhaps, of achieving all of your wildest dreams. Wealth, power, prestige, enough to show those asshole wizards and those sucky alchemists just who it is that really knows what's up.
Yeah, science is better than magic.
Of course. And so then, I imagine you've been traveling many weeks. I would bet that you are from one of the more coastal cities near here.
Yes, Iron Bridge.
Okay, I like that.
Well, it's a fictional name. Like if you want, if you have a real name, you can just replace that.
Well, it's probably going to be better than me borrowing lots of real world names as I had originally intended to, but we can run with whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking like Iron Bridge.
Just fucking London.
In like London, but like more steampunk. If you have played like Thief series, just like the dark city with like a lot of like it's medieval, but with like technology is progressing. It's that kind of city, heavily polluted.
All right, how about Dark London?
I was going to call it Revenant to keep everything regional. So let me pitch something to you guys real quick, and I'll let you in a little bit and give you some insight into how I had originally intended to do the outside world for this campaign. I was going to pretend that Barovia literally existed within the lands of Transylvania on like a map, and just make it in pretend Transylvania, and then fill in the places around that. So if you're coming from a fairly large but distant coastal city, but one still makes regional sense for you to have walked to Transylvania, something like Ostmark, or the Net, or Dalmatia would all make sense. Maybe even Constantine. Geographically important, fairly large cities, lots of money, power, and prestige there, all roughly with their real-world equivalents located near modern Transylvania, right?
What is Ostmark?
Ostmark is the equivalent of the real-world Vienna.
Oh, okay, so Austria. Okay, yeah, Ostmark sounds good. Let's go with that. Although I really cannot do a German accent.
You don't have to. Like, so we'll say,
just replace all of your W's with V's, and
we're taking some
Y's.
obvious, like, this is a fantasy version of that map, and it's clearly not the same thing. I don't want this to literally be our world, but with fantasy stuff in it. But taking some inspiration from it, that is essentially at this point in time the seat of the most powerful nation in the world, with the most powerful dynasty at its head. It is a major international powerhouse of a city. And so for you to not necessarily have a particularly Ostmark accent, especially as someone with a backstory like yours who maybe went there just for university, which also has some interesting real-world parallels, I think that fits just fine.
Yeah, okay. Ostmark sounds good. That's so big.
So then you've been traveling east then for quite some time, maybe months. And I will also give you that the weather was not what you had expected either. You left Ostmark at the beginning of the summer, hoping to make it to your destination, which maybe originally had been Constantine, another large and important city. Expecting essentially, to get there before the winter season and to kind of set up shop once you were inside the city. Give yourself a few weeks or so before winter began to make some money, find a place to stay, and then, wait out the winter there. But when you changed plans, you figured you could make it to your destination, your new destination, even faster. Ideally before the winter snows kept you from crossing the mountains. And that kind of happened. It hasn't snowed. You've arrived at the foot of the Barovian Mountains, before winter has begun. But you had expected drier weather, especially in this area. And instead, you've had, for the past 3 weeks or so, nothing but rain. Not every day, of course, but it's starting to feel like it. It's been a wet, cold, miserable journey, and you're mostly surprised that you haven't caught a cold along the way. Still, you're nearly there. And as you arrive in the village of Willowby, in a way, by a, ever-thickening fog, you're starting to feel like your journey is nearly at an end. We're going to cut away for just a moment.
Yep.
Kaylen, how did you get to Willowby?
Well, Kaylen came from a small desert town, which was also a trading outpost for caravans and traders and adventurers and whatnot, called Kavak, where he was buried. And he came towards Barovia because he got something he doesn't quite know what it was, but something was pulling him towards that direction. It was just following whatever direction his spirit took him, and it's taking him to Barovia. He does not know why, but he wants to find out.
So then let me ask you. This was probably, a year or two ago, approximately, right? When you first went to Kazakh, what were you going there for?
Went to Kazakh because Kaylen was with the last adventuring party he was with, and we were going to Kazakh because there was a disturbance at a mine near Kazakh that we caught a whiff of, so we were going to check it out. And when we got into the mine, we were ambushed by two big giants, and Kaylen decided to sacrifice himself to let the rest of his party leave unharmed, and so began his journey of being promised something and it not fulfilled. So he ended up coming back from the dead in order to seek revenge.
If you don't mind me asking, how long was the guy down and out for?
Who knows? That's a question we'll probably answer in game.
Okay.
So, Kaylen,
Yes.
you've been traveling northwards. And I imagine you've been traveling for quite a bit longer than some of the others.
Yes.
Kazakh is far to the south. And travel through the desert, especially alone like you are, has been especially difficult. When you finally made your way up into more hospitable territory, you found the land surprisingly unfamiliar. And somehow, in the year or two that you've been trapped in that mine, things seem to have changed quite a bit. A new regime, a new regional power, a new language being spoken. It's not too different than the ones you're used to, and you found yourself able to learn it fairly quickly, but all the same, it's something of a shock. And while under normal circumstances, you may have taken the time to have, learn more about what's happened in the region since you've been gone, you've kind of got a goal right now, a single-minded fixation on something. So much so that when you did eventually reach the strait that separates, the two lands, the strait that will eventually, lead you into the lands of Barovia itself, you were very, very swift in finding a boat that could take you across, wasted no time in the grand city of Constantine, and before you knew it, you found yourself in a strange little village covered in fog, surrounded by rain, the foot of the Barovian Mountains. I suspect that you have not had much issue with the wet and the cold, not as much as many of your fellow travelers. And I would also bet that you've been here perhaps a little bit longer than someone like our friend Balthazar, who has only just recently, within the past day or two, arrived. I think you've been here for probably a week at this point. The Barovian Mountains are especially treacherous, and the rain makes making your way through the pass difficult, even for someone as determined as you. You've been waiting now days and days for the weather to let up enough to let you in. We'll get back to you in just a moment, but I want you to think about the name of the inn where you've been staying while you wait.
Okay.
So, We'll get these names all down eventually. Fiona,
All right, and I can
how
talk
did you
now.
make your way to Willowby?
Okay. Okay. So Fiona, she has a brother who has a pact with a patron, but unfortunately he failed to do his task. So now she is burdened to shoulder whatever whatever pact that he had before. So all that she knew was that she had to go to Barovia to settle the goal. Sorry. Yeah, to settle the goal. So she's been asking around. She's been traveling from city to city on carts by foot, however she can, and until finally she reaches a town that told her to go towards Willowby. And yes, she kind of took the next cart that was moving there, and she made her way to Willowby.
How long do you think you've been traveling?
Possibly about 2 to 3 weeks, because her house would be her city would be very far from where Barovia was.
Okay. So you're a little more distant. And I imagine probably you've had to travel sort of southeast to get here. Mostly
sounds
through
right.
flatland, relatively easy terrain, but a pretty great distance all the same. I don't imagine that Fiona had much of a mind as to the weather or the season when she left. She seems to have had a very particular goal. And so I imagine it came as something of a painful shock when you actually started to reach the lands near Barovia, when the mountains finally came into view and the weather was so harsh. Say you've stopped in places and you've been listening for rumors, and I will tell you that they have all said essentially the same thing. Barovia is a cursed land. A sad, miserable people live there, and that if you knew what was good for you, you wouldn't go there. And even those who didn't have anything necessarily bad to say about it couldn't help but mention how terrible the weather's been, how every year the crops seem to get worse, and how this year in particular, these cursed rains that have flooded so much of the land have brought ruin to the people of the area. I think you've been waiting in Willowby a little while too. Perhaps for not as long as the dangerous looking man you saw in the tavern the other evening when you first arrived here, but a little while all the same. Probably for the same reasons. You know that you need to enter Barovia. The weather has essentially prevented you from doing so. So, let me ask you again, Damien, what is the name of the tavern that Kaylen has been staying at? What is the name of the tavern and inn here in this village of Willowby?
It is called the Bee and Bob.
Did you say the embalmed?
The Bee and the Bob.
Oh, okay. That's very different than what I heard. It's like, damn, people here have a really dark sense of humor.
Yeah, this is not the hangman.
Yeah, I've heard people call drinking embalming your insides before, or pickling your innards. So I was like, that's dark. I'm into it. Okay. So then, would you mind describing the tavern a little bit for us?
Sure. It is essentially similar to sort of like a mix between a restaurant design and a bar design. So it's got like layered tables and whatnot, all organized. You walk in and there are like what do you call them? Not hunting prizes, but there are like stuff on the wall for decoration, and there's mugs in where the bar is. On top of there is a little cabinet thing, and that's where all the mugs are. And there's a fire in there and everything.
So then, we'll set the scene a little bit like this. Let's see. Fiona, you've been here a couple days. Where are you seated at in the tavern?
Okay, Fiona would be seated somewhere a bit to the wall, keeping to herself as she waits for the weather to pass her. Occasionally, if she sees someone like who she can approach, she might go up to them and ask them a bit about Barovia. But otherwise, she
Okay.
will just keep to herself.
And what about you, Kaylen?
Really, he would just sit down by himself, minding his own business, because he's not really. He's a people person. He knows how to talk to people, but he's lately, ever since he's come back from the dead, he's been avoiding people because he never really knows who to trust anymore.
And of course, Jon would know that for his lunch break each day, unless he wants to go pack his own, the tavern is about the only place in town where you can consistently get a hot meal, considering the weather, considering the rain, considering how cold it is. I imagine it's exactly what you're there doing. But if you've got a better suggestion, I'd love to hear it.
Well, I mean, my lunch is generally prepared by my lovely wife, Clarissa. But the tavern is generally still the only place to get a cool beer fresh from the cellar.
I like that. Okay. So then I imagine you're probably seated at the bar. You've got your lunch pail on one side. No one really minds. You are a part of the town watch, beloved member of the Protectors of Willowby, and no one really cares if your pail is essentially taking up another seat there, considering that most of the people in this tavern are huddled around the tables. So let me set the scene a little. Times are tough in Willowby, and space has had been made for the vast number of farmers who have come in from their fields looking for a place to stay during this terrible weather and this terrible season. The tavern is fairly packed, although very few sit at the bar due to the drink requirement that many of them can't afford. Dim in terms of mood, not necessarily in terms of intelligence. Dour people huddle close together at the tables, speaking in hushed tones and whispers. The general nervous mass that forms whenever things get bad, people are forced too close together. The fire that normally roars in the hearth of the tavern has slowly died down today to a dismal, flickering flame, barely enough to keep the tavern warm enough to stay in. The rooms upstairs are packed, and for reference, Fiona and Kaylen, you two are lucky to have found a place to stay here at all. I imagine each of you has been forced to share your room with a number of the people of the village, 2 or 3 even. And, well, for now, there are enough beds to go around. Things have been very, very tight as far as space and privacy goes. I imagine even trying to keep to yourselves, people can't help but take chairs from your tables to drag them over to others where they are among better company. And even though you've managed to find spots where you're relatively isolated within the tavern, there are still people near enough to you that you can never really feel alone here. It is around noontime. Lunch, or what the tavern is currently serving and calling lunch, is being eaten all around you. Normally, under better circumstances, especially right after the harvest, you'd see all kinds of delicious things. Squash turned into stews, fresh meat from the recently slaughtered bits of the herd, and of course, fresh beer. But these days, with how tight things are, unless you have ample coin to spare, you're more likely to find yourself a bowl of cold soup, barely reheated from the day before, and a stale chunk of bread. It's as the 3 of you are either appreciating your lunch, which your loving lover has packed for you, or kind of eyeing the tavern while you wait for the weather to clear. The door of the tavern is pushed open by a very interesting looking man. Why don't you, Balthazar, describe yourself for us and how you enter this tavern?
Okay, so as the door opens, you see this lean, not too skinny but thin man enter, and he's grabbing his studded leather like overcoat, like just like he's cold, he's wet, freezing. He's clutching to his coat. There's a massive backpack with all kinds of interesting looking trinkets, gears, vials poking out. And as he enters, he just goes, just stay right there, you dumb animal. It's okay. There is no rain here. You'll be fine. And there's a sound like hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw of some kind of donkey. And he's like, okay, just stay here, right? Just stay. And he's like, oh God, I can explain this. And he enters the tavern and he sees how packed it is. He's like, oh. He stepping around looking for a place to like keep his bag and sit down, barely finding space. You got something hot? You got something like some soup, hot soup, maybe?
So, as you look around for either friendly or familiar faces, you are greeted mostly by the indignant, worried, and in some cases scared faces of many of the villagers. But there are a number of faces that stand out to you. The first, perhaps, being the very dangerous looking man eyeing you from one of the darker corners of the room. Kaylen, describe your character for us and how he is glaring at the intruder.
Well, Kaylen would instantly, as soon as he saw him enter the tavern, he would look at him with a, not a curious, but a sort of like a hostile look, due to, being so alert about anyone and everyone and not trusting anyone he sees. He has black hair. He's very pale. Like his skin is just very pale. And he is about 5'5", and so he's not the tallest, but he's definitely not the shortest person. But he would just constantly keep looking at this random Balthazar man who've just come in the tavern, and who just keep not obviously looking, but sort of like trying to subtly look as to not cause trouble.
Considering his sharp features, the paleness of the skin, and the raven black hair, I imagine he can't help but look a tad bit sinister as he stares discreetly at the interloper. As you continue to scan the crowd, you notice another woman, a foreigner, who, why don't you describe Fiona for us, Lina? How does
Okay.
she react?
Alright, so as Fiona is keeping to herself, suddenly there is this man who burst in through the door, yelling at his donkey. So she looked at it quite surprised because it's a different kind of noise suddenly to come in compared to all of these other somber people who are just trying to um, stay sane. So she stares at him, this blonde girl who's probably just a young adult. Yeah, so she stares at him and she wonders, what kind of a person is this? Is he going to be able to? Can she ask him questions, or is he too dangerous? So she's just trying to weigh him in her mind.
Okay.
I mean, Balthazar, I don't know about him, but Balthazar doesn't look dangerous at all. He looks anything, it looks like a nerdy shopkeeper.
Dangerous is maybe not the right word. Considering you came in screaming at a donkey, unhinged might be a little more accurate.
That would probably be
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that's true. That is true.
Okay. So then your eyes turn towards the bar, obviously searching out the barkeep as you seem to be looking for a hot meal, and you can't help but pass over the soldier, eating his lunch out of a pail and enjoying what appears to be a rather frothy beer. Why don't you describe yourself to us, Jon, and how you react to the interloper?
Yeah, so Jon, okay, when you first look at Jon, your immediate reaction is, holy shit, that motherfucker is ugly, right? He's got a gnarled looking nose that has obviously been broken before, that hasn't been set right. He's got two cauliflower eaters and a wicked looking scar that just runs across just right under an eye, and it sort of like tears through. There's like a gap where his lips should be, that reveals the yellow of his teeth. And yeah, he's a pretty gruff looking guy. You can't really tell his height with him hunched over at the bar, but his build is pretty broad, especially so for a rather older looking guy.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Darren. If you had described this man as Hispanic, you would have completely and perfectly and accurately described my MMA coach to a T.
I actually have a Muay Thai coach that is what I based the inspiration of this guy off of, and he is Filipino, I want to say. So close enough.
Same difference. Life and has grown.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's just for reference.
Jon is 57, which is like particularly old, especially for this era.
Yes, he is. He is surprisingly spry looking for his age. I was gonna go in the other direction and say he's old before his time, but no, he's old at exactly his time.
Exactly. No, like, but Jon keeps in shape. He goes for daily runs. At the moment, he's currently doing some bicep curls. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, and so his reaction to the interloper is like a quick assessment before he determines, this guy's probably not here to cause trouble, and so he sort of hails him, gets up, maybe calls for the hostess right now, which is Beatrice, to maybe bring over a dry blanket.
Beatrice does so. Would you describe Beatrice for us?
Beatrice is your typical homely-looking tavern. I don't want to say tavern wench, but like
we're using your.
Oh yeah. So she's a short, plump woman, about the age of 40. She runs the place with her husband Rob, but Rob is out at the moment, probably securing more shipments of food and wine, given the influx of refugees in the town. But I digress. So Beatrice is your typical homely looking tavern hostess.
Yeah. Okay. So as a quick aside, I will let you guys know my policy on, since we've just done descriptions and given a basic idea of what you guys are playing. My policy regarding characters and character changes looks something like this. For the very first 2 sessions, so this one and the next one, anytime before or after these sessions, if you want to change something about your character, story detail, backstory, appearance, anything at all, to better fit the direction you think the game is going, or to better fit the narrative or the story you're trying to tell, or if you want to do any mechanical changes, I will take them without any questions at all. We'll just make it happen. After that, any kind of changes you want to make need to be justified in game, and that is a longer discussion that we will have to have. So that's the policy. Okay.
Are you, David? Are you denying me my basic human rights as a human being to change the sex of my character whenever and whatever I want?
Don't go there.
David,
David,
come on.
After the first 2 sessions, as long as you justify it to me, no, you can do it whenever you want. But I would like some justification.
All right, cool. I mean, we do have a alchemist here, so
you can give him a magic item called the Touch of Trance.
Exactly.
No, I'll just throw in a cursed girdle of masculinity or femininity as is appropriate, and it'll look like a belt of giant strength plus, or belt of hill giant strength is what it was in Against the Giants, and then I'll be totally and completely justified. But anyways, that's the policy. So just keep that in mind. If you guys do feel the need to make any changes, the first 2 sessions, just let me know what you're changing. Perfectly acceptable. We'll never say no. After that, talk to me first, and we'll come up with an in-game justification. Might be a session or 2 before we make the full change, because I'd like to justify it via the story. But beyond that, we'll work it out. But anyways, Balthazar, as you know, you step inside the tavern, look around, you see these people, you see there's no one behind the bar right now. but there's barely anyone sitting at it anyways. And as you make eye contact with this grizzled-looking old man, he stands up and he shouts for who you immediately recognize as the hostess, as she seems to be walking around and checking on some of the customers. She looks up and she sees you, and she hustles over to the bar. She gets down behind it, and when she comes up from behind it, she has a rather rough spun blanket in her hands, which she hurries over to you and she wraps it around your shoulders and she says, "Oh, God, you must come in from the cold, dear. You look terrible. Yeah, take a seat. Do you have a coin?"
So you don't. If you say you do, she's going to charge you for that blanket, that wench.
No, it's Balthazar doesn't actually have any coin with him right now. So he's gonna be like, "Oh, thank you," and he just searches his pockets and he just doesn't say a word, just nods his head. Nope, I don't have any.
The woman frowns at you, but then she looks over at Jon and gives him an even greater frown. She says, "Right, no coin. Take a seat. I suppose you could ask one of the other people around here for some food or money or whatever it is that you want, but leave that blanket back before you leave." Then she pulls a chair over for you to one of the many packed tables, and as soon as you sat down, she is away and talking to customers with more money.
Balthazar just frowns and say, "Well, it's fine, I guess." And now he just grabs the blanket and just kind of cuddles and keeps himself dry. And he looks around, looks like a dangerous looking man, and he clutches his backpack closer to his chest. And then he looks at Jon, who reminds him awfully of his own father, who used to be a blacksmith. Not a blacksmith who makes weapons and armor, mind you, a blacksmith who makes horseshoes.
Oh yeah,
Very
so like
cool.
a normal blacksmith.
Like a real blacksmith.
Poor blacksmith.
Crazy. Wow.
And he's like, he gets up and he sees the woman gave him a frown, so just gets up. I mean, when you're in the land, any ugly looking guy who reminds you of your father, you just approach him. It's like, "Oh, hello there."
Sorry, I didn't catch that last part. You approached Jon?
Yeah, I approach Jon and I say, "Oh, hello there."
Oh. So Jon gets up, and as he does, you can see that he's clearly a quite large of a man, both in height and width. He's gotten sort of he stands fairly tall at about 6. Shit, I'm trying to convert it into imperial. In metric, he's about 1.78-ish. So feet, that would be like 6 foot something. I don't know. Fuck you, David. But anyway, so and he's also gotten a bit of a rotund beer belly. But regardless, he as he stands up, he gives you a rather gnarly looking grin, given his messed up lips, and he says, "The name's Jon. I'm the constable around here."
Oh, excellent. Well, I'm Balthazar DeBaum, entrepreneur, adventurer, and scientist. Pleased to meet you. And he offers the hand.
Jon shakes the hand, sort of tentatively looking at his backpack, and I say, "And by the way, if you're trying to sell anything to the village, we don't take well to con men. You understand me?"
"Oh, no, sir. No comment. I can," and he just crosses his arms and says, "I can assure you these are 100% like good ideas. Maybe you have a balding hair, you want a balding head, you want to get rid of that. Maybe that pot belly and turning into a six-pack. Come to Balthazar's Remedies. I mean, I'm still in the process of gathering wages, but I can assure you, I have the formula. I have the formula.
Right. Okay. Well, as long as you don't mean any trouble, I suppose we're all square then.
Indeed. Speaking of which, this town doesn't really seem to be in a very good shape. I heard that. Well, I heard something different about it. You get some very expensive stuff.
Sorry, Dusk. You're quite. Your voice is being muffled over by a lot of static right now.
Hello.
Yes. Hi.
Yes. So yes, this town doesn't look to be in a very good shape, though.
It hasn't. As you might have noticed, we've been hit pretty hard with the rain nowadays. There's an influx of all sorts from the countryside, and I've actually had to take on a couple more volunteers. It's normally just me managing the law around these parts, but I've had to take on some deputies of late. It's not been great. Say, you wouldn't happen to be looking for volunteer work, would you? We could always use an extra hand.
No, I'm more of a craftsman rather than an actual, I'm not really meant for like heavy work. You know what I mean, right?
Oh, of course.
And as he says that, he takes out the little vial from his pocket on the inside of his coat, takes a little sippy, and just puts it back.
As you two are speaking, John, just on the edge of your perception, you hear something from outside. It's very, very faint. You can't make it out at first. It started at the beginning of this conversation, and you thought it might have been this guy you're talking to, Donkey, at first, but it's gotten louder now by the end of this conversation as the man next to you takes a little sip from his not a flask. It finally starts to sound like a word to you, like someone yelling, "Constable!" And then, before you can stand up, it's louder again, "Constable!" And then, as you finally get to your feet, the door to the tavern bursts open, and a ragged-looking man, short, thin, bedraggled hair, dressed in a motley assortment of armor. One of the deputies you hired, a half-elf traveler who was looking to kind of find a place to stay for the winter, calls himself Lionel. He, makes his way inside. You can see he's got his little spear clutched in one hand, and the other he's using to prop himself up against the door. He's breathing heavy and ragged, and you can see behind him the fog has thickened significantly, and it kind of pools at his feet. Slowly starts to pour into the tavern, and he looks up and he sees you and he shouts, "Constable, help!"
I sort of get up and I'm like, "What's happening? What's happening?" As give me a report, and as I sort of hastily pick up my things and make for the door.
So as you make your way over, you can see people are freaked out by this. Everyone has looked up. There's clearly some shock. People are looking around scared, and you can hear that low murmuring whisper, what the hell this is.
I want everyone to stay calm, all right? Everything's under control. Everything's gonna be all right.
Constable, there's and you all can hear it. He's speaking very loud. Mom, and then he claps a hand over his mouth, and he looks around real nervous, and then he waits for you to get close, John, and he says in a hushed whisper, his voice still ragged, "There's a monster in the fog."
Monster! I sort of shout, not heeding, not minding the panicking crowd. So like what kind of monster? What? Wait, no, I don't care. Take me to it. And as I hurry out the door, I sort of pause and I consider and I sort of shout back into the crowd, like, any capable fighters, come with me. If there is a monster, we have to take care of it. Anyone who helps with the fight gets a free meal at the end of this.
There are a lot of blank stares at you before a number of the villagers look back down quietly, very focused on their hands all of a sudden.
Actually,
At first, it takes your offer, but
actually, when she hears
Go
that
ahead.
Fiona is going to stand up straight away, like her chair probably clattered a bit at the sound of free food because she doesn't have much coins as well, so she probably hasn't been eating very well and just finished her last rations. So she tries to make 2 steps towards the door, and then when she sees no one else has stood up, she backs out again and sits down.
Before, right as she stands up, I want to say, she instantly gets singled out by Jon. Like we make eye contact, and I'm obviously hopeful that you'll come along.
Yep, and then when she sees that Jon is still looking hopefully at her, she stands up again, and then she sits down, and then she stands up and just runs towards Jon.
Nice.
Yeah, you
Gotta
can
love
see
that fucking peer pressure.
You can see that she's sort of like of 2 minds. Like, sit, no wait, go, no sit, no go. But she goes in the end.
Anyone
Nice.
else?
Well, as hearing that, Kaylen will just stand up and grab his sword and shield and just not stand close to them, but stand near enough so they can understand that he's coming along.
Interesting. And so the 3 of you, along with Lionel, stand there ready to depart. And I assume at that point eyes fall upon the newcomer.
I think he's gone at this point,
He's eating.
but we can assume that he tags along.
Yeah, we'll just say, monster? Where? Sounds fascinating, because he knows that monster parts are can be turned into reagents and stuff. So he's excited.
All right.
Nice.
And so it
All
is
right.
that the 4 of you, of all the people gathered in this tavern, are the ones who take up the call to arms. And together, perhaps not as a tight-knit group, but at least traveling, close to one another. The 4 of you, with Lionel in the lead, exit the tavern and in to the foggy streets of Willowby. It's eerily quiet here on the streets. Considering it's just a little past noon, it is surprisingly dark out. And an overwhelming fog has covered the area. It's gone up high enough to cover the roofs, the homes here in Willowby, even the 2-story buildings like the tavern you just exited, and you can barely see more than a few feet in front of you. There are a few times following Lionel that even you, Jon, start to lose sight of him for a moment before he suddenly comes back into view. And as you quickly follow the ragged man, he relays to you his story. It was horrible. Jon, you should have seen it. I was there. Me and Perennial and 2 of the others, the new recruits. We were out on the street. We watched the fog come in off of the mountain. It looked different this time. We couldn't puzzle out what it was. And then suddenly, it was on us, and we couldn't say anything, couldn't see more than a few feet. It was just like this. And we figured it was best we went out in the street, told people maybe stay inside, make sure there weren't no hazards out, right? Keeping an eye on things. And we were doing a patrol. It came out of nowhere. Oh, I didn't see it coming on us, I didn't hear it. It just ran up out of the dark. And when I turned around, I'd heard Perennial scream, and something hit me in the back. And it's as he's saying this, Jon, that you notice there are small splatterings of blood along Lionel's back. A slightly darker shade of red than you're used to, but you suspect that's because the other deputy he's talking about, Perennial, was a half-orc.
No, not Perennial. I sort of go, is like, wait, is he all right?
I don't know. I didn't see him. I turned around and he was gone. They were all gone. I was the only one still there, and I couldn't see anything. And I came straight to you, Jon. I knew you'd be able to handle it. I figured it was our best chance. You guys are nearing the edge of the village now, right up to the wooden palisade that surrounds it. You can see the wooden guard tower, presumably where Lionel and Perennial were waiting, watching the fog come in. And as you approach, why doesn't everyone make a perception check for me?
All right.
Alright.
I am blind.
Wow. Okay then.
Wow, okay.
Jon
So-
says all.
I guess that makes sense. So, Jon, you and Balthazar are standing fairly near each other. I imagine he's following directly behind you to avoid getting lost. And as you guys make your way to the guard tower, Jon, you nearly slip in what at first appeared to be a puddle. But now, as you look down, you can see the dark red blood, presumably of Perennial. There is a gash of it across the street, enough to indicate a pretty serious wound, but it doesn't look like someone fell here or something. It looks like something was dragged across this spot on the ground. You can kind of smell it now too, now that you notice that it's there, now that you know you're looking for something. The scent of iron is strong in the air. And Balthazar, as you come up behind him, you nearly slip in it too.
Yeah, Balthazar's like, whoop! And he first sees, god damn, some mud and water, and he sees the red blood, and he says, oh dear God, this does not look good at all.
Yeah, so I sort of halt the party, and I'm like, all right, stand your guard, everyone.
So the most hilarious part is Balthazar is with you, but he doesn't have any weapon, not even a dagger. just maybe like a butter knife, but nothing else. He just has like no weapons, just a big backpack. And it's like, huh.
Starting to think maybe this was a bad idea.
Noticing that he doesn't have a weapon, and assuming that based on what Jon knows of him so far, that he actually doesn't have a weapon, Jon will sort of like unshoulder his crossbow and quiver of bolts, and sort of like hand it to him and be like, "Best be on the lookout,
Balthazar will look at the crossbow and say, interesting craftsmanship, but no thanks. I'm good. I'm fine. I'll manage.
You sure you don't need anything to, defend yourself?
Oh, don't worry. I have other methods. You'll see. And he just does the whole like nerdy, like awkward smile and gives a nod.
Mage, huh? All right.
Mage? And suddenly his smile turns into a frown and say, "Sir, please don't insult me. I'm a man of science. I don't do magic. I'm a man of science. Of course, I mix a little bit of magic here and there with my technology, but I'm not a mage."
As these two are,
you're one of those.
I will not. Fiona,
sorry.
You two can begin to smell the iron as well. Lionel, for his part, he's been trying to relate to you, Jon, in like a hysterical way. This is where the others went missing, and that he's fairly confident that someone died here.
Right. So I sort of like called the party, asked them to be on lookout as I like bend over to check on Perennial.
So the issue is, as you kind of like get down, you examine the blood and you look around. Why don't you throw me a... We're going to say a survival check if you want to try and yeah, if you want to try and use the blood to locate the direction of where this person was going, something like that.
Well, we can do that next, but my first and foremost is making sure that whoops, it's the wrong thing. My first and foremost is to make sure that that to check on Perennial and make sure he's okay. Okay.
There is no body here.
Okay, right. So okay, sorry. I thought there was a body. All right, I'll make the survival check then. Not great.
You look down at the blood and you see the direction the drag appears to be headed, and it looks, unfortunately, like it's headed towards deeper into the village, down one of the side roads.
Oh no. All right. We best hurry after this thing, whatever it is. We don't want it to get any closer. Come on, gang.
So, GM, given the wounds of this character, can I like try to get a rough idea of what kind of wounds were inflicted? Maybe like sharp claws or some kind of idea about what this creature might have.
Well, your best bet, considering all you've got to go on is the blood splatter on Lionel's back, presumably from the murdered deputy, and the massive dragging blood stain on the cobblestones of the main street. You suspect that whatever did the murdering here is at least large enough to drag a body with it.
Are there any like bloody footsteps or something, or paw marks on the ground?
You don't see any, at least at first, but as you guys set off in the direction of the blood dragging, you spot another one, but with a little less blood this time. And it seems to be, as Jon suspected, headed deeper into the village. At this point, has anyone been doing anything besides just following along?
How dark is it actually?
Considering it's supposed to be the middle of the day, like around 1 o'clock, it is surprisingly dark out. the fog has kind of smothered the sky, and it's cast everything in like a deep, overcast look. Imagine like a really terrible storm. It's about that bright outside.
Okay, so we can still see without light, right?
Yes, you can still see without light, although the fog makes seeing more than a few feet distant fairly difficult.
Okay.
I
So,
say, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, it's just that as Fiona sees the pool of blood, she's probably going to step a little further back and sort of like distance herself away from the blood. So that is all that she does until they start moving over.
Interesting. Okay.
So DM, you said there are like some kind of bloody footprints on the ground?
Not footprints or anything like that. More blood. It looks like someone dipped a paintbrush in blood and then swiped it over the ground and has been doing so.
Okay, so just skid marks and stuff. Okay, yeah. Body
Yes.
like dragging it. Something was dragged. Okay.
Eventually, after maybe 3 or 4 minutes of following these tracks, you guys find yourself kind of in like the center of the village, not along the main road though, just off of it on one of the side roads. And it's here, as you guys are moving through the fog, that Jon, you nearly trip over a humanoid form lying in the street. Glancing down at it, taking a step back, bringing everyone to a halt, you recognize the dark blood of your missing half-orc deputy and what remains of the ramshackle armor they'd been wearing, but the bloody pulp lying here is...
Oh my god, it's a dead body!
Yes. It is barely recognizable as a humanoid at this point. More chewed up remains than anything else.
Right. So registering that, I sort of like motion for everyone to like stay close and since we're at the center of town, I sort of say, all right, there's a real danger lurking about here. Lino, I want you to go over to the town hall and ring the bell. Make sure everyone stays indoors. Do you hear me?
You want me to go ring it alone?
Yeah. That's literally what I just said. You deaf
He
boy.
He looks at you with pleading eyes and a look of terror on his face.
Listen, it's literally like 5 meters that way. All right? Just...
All right, I'll do my best, Jon. And he salutes you, constable. And then he grabs his weapon real tight and he looks into the fog, and you can hear him gulp and sniffle a little, and then he sets off at like a slow sprint into the fog.
Guy's probably gonna get murdered.
And as he does that, Balthazar will say, goodbye, brave soldier.
Oh god. Okay, never mind.
Well, you lot are awfully cheery about death, aren't you?
So who are you
no.
talking to?
All of you.
No, not really. I'm quite terrified, if you ask me. I'm just, trying to make some awkward jokes to kind of, shrug off the fear. But yeah, I'm
Right,
quite
exactly.
terrified.
There'll be a time for mourning later, but for now we have a threat to deal with. And speaking of...
It's worth noting that the area around you is just suffused with the smell of blood. The humidity in the air makes it worse. It's almost like you're breathing in the blood itself. It feels so thick in your nose and mouth.
Right. And as
If
far as like a trail goes from here, I'm sure that the beast has left something.
Fiona's technically hiding behind Kaylen the Revenant, but she's gonna take a look around. Is there anything that she sees in particular?
Yeah, why don't you all throw me a perception check real quick? And then tell me what it is specifically you're looking around at in the area.
Fiona's looking for anything that looks not human, like a monster. Like she imagines something big and hulking and like probably furry.
So something like me.
Are you furry?
Hey man, don't kink shame.
He was
No.
he was very subtle about saying, that in this setting, elves are actually cat people. We were keeping it on the down low, but now that it's out. I'm missing a perception roll from Kaylen.
I thought I clicked it. Apparently it didn't click.
Okay. So, Fiona and Jon, what specifically were you looking around? I know, Fiona, you're looking out into the fog, trying to see if you can spot whatever did this, but Jon, what are you looking for exactly?
Specifically for a trail of some sort that the creature has to have left behind, whether that's like bloody footprints or whatever.
Okay. So, Jon, you crouch down for a second. You're looking at the body, seeing if maybe there's some kind of track marks leading away from it. And you do see a couple of drops of blood. It looks like it was heading towards the edge of the village, but not the way you came, towards the east instead. And you can see, just a few droplets here or there, but they disappear into the fog. It's while you're looking down at the body, though, that you do know, with interest or perhaps not, that very clearly this body has been chewed up. There are very clear indentations where teeth pierced the armor and tore chunks out of this poor half-orc. It is also worth noting that while huge chunks of their torso, of their upper chest, their entire head is missing, all of their limbs are still attached to the ragged remains, but one, their left arm, has been apparently entirely severed and is nowhere to be seen. As you kind of look into the fog and you're following the little droplets of blood as far as they will go, Fiona, you've been scanning the darkness. The swirling fog around you makes spotting anything difficult, and the sudden shifts and swirls almost sometimes look like creatures themselves, and it's difficult to tell if anything's moving out there. You swear at one point or another that you could even see faces being formed in the mists. But it's not your eyes that catch whatever this creature is. It's not your ears either, because you don't hear anything but your own footsteps and the breathing of your companions. It's the smell. It's subtle at first. It's hard to make out over the thickness of the blood smell, the iron in the air. But as you move a bit away from the others, trying to look out deeper into these swirling mists around you, you pick it up. Faint. It's wretched. Awful. a rotting, decaying smell, like a corpse gone unburied or trash left to molder in the sun. It's got a distinctly sharp edge to it, though, something that makes it different. Some part of your brain knows that this is not merely the smell of a rotting corpse, there's something worse. And it starts faint, but as soon as you notice it, it starts to grow strong. And it's almost overwhelming. And it's right after you pick up on it that the rest of you start to as well. Why don't everyone make me a Constitution save real quick?
Ooh.
Oof.
Oh no. Did I vomit?
Fiona, as the person who noticed it first, and perhaps the person who's smelling it most clearly, it starts to make you ill, and you have to fight back the urge to retch. It's horrible, and it's overwhelming, and it almost stings your eyes with the intensity. And as the rest of you catch the scent, it starts to overwhelm you as well. It is only then that you hear the ringing of the bell. And distantly, the screams of Lionel Lemonlore. There's monsters! The monsters in the village! And as he does that,
Oh, so he made it all right. Good on him.
you hear nowhere near you, from the far side of the village perhaps, a howl. An unearthly howl, like a wolf, but so much worse. And then, as it dies down, another, closer from yet another direction, the way you came from, in fact. And Fiona, as you stumble back towards the group, trying to fight back the urge to vomit, you hear the same howl. Close. Very, very close.
Fiona will
Almost.
yelp out. She will yelp out, say, "There's more than one of them."
And that is when, out of the fog, you can see it. Shape larger than a man, larger than a horse, plodding on 4 legs, long, sleek, mouth filled with razor sharp teeth.
Jesus, David, keep your fetishes out of my game.
Not this time, Darren. That's explicitly what everyone's here for. The creature approaches. Everyone roll initiative for me. And if you will, before you roll initiative, click on your token. Make sure you have it selected.
Yes.
I have to adjust something real quick. Sorry, you had to change the way my turn order looks. I thought I had turned off additional information earlier, and I had not. All right. Yeah. Let me open this up for you. Can you guys on screen?
Yep.
No.
We're still
Wait,
on the
where is
Strahd.
it?
You need to move the player tab.
Should be on Todd. Real quick. It's not usually this slow. I haven't had a problem like this on Roll20 in a while. All right.
I want to say something, DM. Though, up till now, the tension and the atmosphere is just spot on.
Good. I'm glad to interrupt it with like this very, very slow trying to get.
No,
these characters-
it happens. It happens. Trust me, it happens.
Good. Okay. I think we're about on point. So, yes, the creature approaches out of the fog. Balthazar, it is your turn first. What do you want?
First of all, Balthazar would just scream and say, "Oh God, it's a man wolf!" And how far is this creature from me?
It's, we'll say, probably 40, 50 feet distant at this point, barely on the range of your perception, honestly. Looks like it's been circling, perhaps.
Fantastic. 40 feet is enough distance for me. As you see that this guy is just unarmed, and suddenly you see he pulls out something from a belt that he has been wearing from the pocket. It looks round and has a tiny switch or pin at the end. It looks about grenade sized. He pulls out the pin, makes it like a ding sound, it's like a small glass vial breaking inside of it. And he chucks it and says, "Eat this, fiend!"
Go for it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that should do it. So, does it hit?
That most certainly hits. And I assume the initial creature doesn't have to make that deck save, does it?
No. Only any other creature surrounding it.
Okay. Then yeah, your bomb sails across the air, right? You reach down, you pull it out, take a second to light it, or twist the top, or how do you activate your bombs? What exactly do they look like?
it's at the mechanic. This kind of clay grenade shaped like thing, like the head of is a tiny glass vial. Grenade is filled with the liquid. The tiny glass vial is filled with another liquid, which is a primer. He presses a button, which actually breaks, and within like 1 second, the liquid mixes, which creates a explodes.
Very, you can see appears to be some kind of clay circular device. Sails into the creature where, with a loud noise, a bright light, a fiery explosion, it erupts, and you hear the beast snarl and rage.
Okay, yeah, that's my turn.
All right. So there's an explosion. For those of you who have never interacted with magic before, and as the beast snarls, it suddenly sets off at a dead sprint towards which one of you, and I'm is standing perhaps closest to this beast. I want to say Fiona, because
Yeah, it might be Fiona.
she started 2 words. I'll let you guys decide who's standing closest.
I feel like, based off of the actions that Fiona has displayed so far, like the moment she sensed any danger in that direction, she would have backed away. And so I feel like, if anything, she would be the farthest from the wolf right now.
I'm willing to accept that, but that doesn't answer who's closest.
I don't think Fiona has moved that much away to be the furthest. She's probably based on what you say, she might be like have at least one person in front of her, between her and the monster, because it wouldn't have been enough time to run that far.
Okay.
I'm going to invoke my fate point here, and and say that because of my natural inclination to be protective of this town and my friends, the moment I detected any threat, I would have stepped between them and the threat.
I'm willing to accept that. Mostly because you spent your fate point on it, so
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There should be a back and forth between us. Kind of a fate point economy, if you will.
Yeah.
So in that case, the barrels out of the fog. It's got the mist rolling around it, kind of billowing off of it, giving it a ghostly trail before it slams into you, Jon, and it attempts to take a bite out of you. That was not rolled with advantage, or at least it should. Let me.
I'm not seeing
is that a
anything
GM
yet.
roll?
Here, I'll redo that because I forgot that these sheets always roll privately first. I want you guys to be able to see, so I'm not trying to jerk you around. Also, the beast got a critical hit in the very first attack.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so.
Oh, that's a hit. Ouch.
That is a hit. Yeah, so the beast, leaps, from the fog. It rushes towards you, Jon. Its face still singed and smoking, and it opens up its mouth, all teeth. It seems to open wider than you can ever believe, and that awful, wretched smell fills your nostrils as it bites down on you, and you can feel it. It crunches down, and you can feel it trying to pierce through your armor. You can feel it crushing you between its teeth.
Ah, son of a bitch!
Fiona, it is your action. You watch the man who took a step in front of you essentially to take this werewolf is bitten and is being crushed between its teeth. What do you want to do?
Fiona is going to well, she's taken by surprise, but she's going to shout at the beast to back off. She's basically going to cast Hex on it and give it a disadvantage for dex checks. And also, yeah, that is her bonus action.
So you are hexing it first. What do you want to do with your actual action?
Okay, with her actual action, she's going to try and cast it with something. She's going to try and Sacred Flame it.
Go for it. Oh no.
No.
Let me go ahead and roll that. And that is with
This disadvantage,
force. Yeah. And let me see if it actually has saves. Nope, that is flat. It will take the damage.
Just 2. Ah, level 1. And she's going. She's going to use her move action to move like further back, probably about 20 feet.
I like that. Just run away from it, let it eat. Will you roll your d6 for your hex real quick?
Oh, yeah. So that's a total of 6.
There you go. Two radiant, 2 and 4. Is hex necrotic?
Yes.
No, hex
no.
is psychic.
It is necrotic.
Necrotic? I thought it was psychic.
No, it's a horrible fancy curse or something. Anyways, Kaylen, it is your turn.
So I've got 30 feet of. Am I within 30 feet to walk out to it and beat the crap out of it?
Oh yeah, you're definitely close enough to make your way over and start wailing on it.
I'm gonna do that. So actually, I forgot to change these. So I want to do. Hang on, shit. Longsword is a D8, right? Or is it a D6?
It is a D8 if you're one-handed.
One-handed, but it's a D6 if you're.
It's a D10 if you're two-handed.
Right. Give me a sec. Sorry. And it's slashing. Alright, so I'm just gonna walk up to it and I'm gonna slash it.
Go for it. A 22 is more than enough to hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
Okay.
That's pretty good. Describe to me how you start hacking into this creature.
So I'm gonna walk up to it. I'm gonna pull my longsword back. I'm gonna swing it into where its hip would be, and I'm just gonna slash it straight in the hip.
I like it. The beast actually releases its grip on Jon and turns to growl at you.
I'm gonna look at it and I'm just gonna be like, "That's right. Come to me. Attack me. Do it. I dare you."
Jon, it is as it releases you and looks over distracted that the turn passes to you. What do you want to do?
All right. I am going to probably use my second wind right now because I'm literally going to die in another hit.
Yeah, probably a good plan.
Yeah.
So I will roll 1d10. Is it plus anything? Where is it? Plus my fighter level, which is 1. Okay. Nice.
Very nice. All right, you've got your second win. The creature lets go of you, and you feel that righteous protector of Willowby well up inside of you, and you are ready to fucking murder. What do you want to do?
Right.
Epic
So
music.
I'm actually listening to completely unrelated music right now. Girl talk all day. Anyway.
Hell, or that's the best girl talks.
Yeah, boy. So anyway, so yeah, I raised my hammer to bring it and like do like a swing basically onto the lower torso of the thing. That's not an aim attack. That's just flavor. I'll do that, and I critical fail.
I will listen because I am such a kind and generous person. I'm happy to let attack is made at advantage because I did say the beast was distracted, and also I just feel bad for you guys. Go ahead and roll that damage on that warhammer because a 19 will hit.
Nice. Wait, does it? Do I? What do I press for that?
Press
just
the
click on the
warhammer.
warhammer.
Yeah,
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
10 damage.
Yes. So you take a step back, you whirl the warhammer around, and you bring it down on this creature's head as it turns away from you. You feel the crunch of bone and flesh beneath it. Maybe not to the extent that So it is as you crack down on this thing's a step back as it kind of takes a trying to keep you and Kaylen when you guys know it
Can't hear you.
takes you a moment, but the fog around you, once so sickly tinge to it, has the whole world has slightly orange, and that overwhelming smell of filth and decay from the beast in front of you has started to slowly be replaced by the smell of smoke. It is your turn, Balthazar.
Oh my god. Balthazar will scream, "Fire! Fire!" And he will run away from the beast about 30 feet away. GM, so you said that the attack on the beast was not effective, even though it dealt like 10 damage. Can I try to make sense of what is going on with the nature?
Your attack was no. Your attack seemed plenty effective. It blew up in that beast's face. Oh, John's? Not from this distance, probably not.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like maybe I was sort of like let out a confused grunt, but nothing more than that.
Okay. So in that case, I see that Jon is fighting, and it's too risky to just lob a grenade at this guy. So I'm gonna drop a grenade like about 5 feet of here, so Jon doesn't have to face the brunt of the thing.
There's a good chance that I would avoid that damage because I have Shield Master, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't know that.
If you throw a bomb directly on it, the Revenant's going to get hit too. So this is the safe way of handling it. you want to give me an attack roll to see if you, if the bomb goes off properly?
Yes. Let's see.
Me taking damage, I'm immortal.
Yeah, it should go off, and so it's 2.5 damage. Who has to make the save first?
I usually let you guys round
I'm about there.
damage like that, but it's got to make its dex save first at disadvantage thanks to Hex,
Oh,
and it will fail, and will take all through that damage.
It only takes half damage, so 2.5, 3, or something. Whatever you decide. Do you round up or down?
I'm gonna say 3. I'm feeling generous. Such a
like good stuff we round up, bad stuff we round down, right? That's how it works.
Yeah. Oh no. So you toss, another one of your clay canisters, another one of your clay spheres out, and it sails through the fog, which is rapidly taking on the color, like the orange glow of flames, and another explosion rings out in the relative silence. You watch as the flames leap from where your bomb hit onto the beast, singeing its fur. It seems like the noise distracted it for a moment. But now,
I will say, like, as he's not lobbing those fire bombs, I'll be like, "Oi, it's all nice and good that you're contributing, but please watch out for the buildings."
So
There's a fucking monster! What are you talking about?
Alright, but there won't be a town to protect the monster from if you burn the fucking town down.
the beast attacks. First, taking a swipe at the pale, mysterious, dangerous-looking man, and then trying to bite John again. That should not be at disadvantage, but since I rolled it that way, I'll give it to you for now. Does a 13 hit your AC?
Mine?
Yes.
No.
Okay. So the creature takes a swipe at you and fails to connect. Do you wield a shield, perchance?
Yes, I do.
Then we will say that as it swipes at you, you manage to, take the brunt of those claws across the front of your shield. And as you pull back from the beast, you look and see that beast's claws actually dug chunks of the metal away. And then tries to bite you again, John. It's just a real nice guy like that.
Oh boy.
Does a 17 hit your armor class?
It does not.
So I imagine this time you are prepared, considering it bit you the first time, and it reaches forward, its mouth open wide, and it goes in for one of those like sideway bites, like it's trying to chew between its teeth again. And this time, you said you're a shield master?
That's right. Although I have I have a buckler. I have a steel buckler.
I gotcha. So I think you probably, you push the shield in front of yourself, and you take a quick step backwards, and its teeth kind of like clamp down on the two sides of the buckler, and you feel it try and tear it away from you, but you manage to yank it back in time.
Yeah.
Fiona.
Aye.
What are you doing?
She's going to skirt around a bit, kind of like getting closer but not quite closer. She's going. The both of them did not receive any damage since the last time, right?
No.
Yeah, so she's going to try and Sacred Blast it again.
Go for it.
Die, monster! Why?
Let me do it.
Beautiful.
And it'll hit too. Go ahead and roll that d6 for your. There you
Another
go.
4. Well, that's okay.
It's all right. Not that it's an off day. It happens to the best of us.
Well.
What does your sacred flame look like? Describe that for us real quick.
It's kind of like a beam of light, I would say, shooting off to hit, and then it kind of hits him in a fiery blast, like a bit of a woof when it hit.
What color is the light, if you don't mind me asking?
I would say it's quite like whitish.
Nice. Okay.
You guys, have any of you ever read the Wheel of Time books?
I love it. I stopped at 9 though. It started getting too draggy. Oh no. Yes.
I can't help but imagine Sacred Flame looking like Balefire.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yes, you reach a hand forward, brilliant beam of light blasts forth. The wolf can't get out of the way in time, and again, it is engulfed in flames. At this point, the smell of burnt hair has begun to overwhelm the scent of rot and filth. All right. Kaylen.
Alright, so with this spell that she's doing, would I be able to identify radiant?
Being radiant?
Yes.
It's white. It's white fire.
Yeah, it's a white light that makes burning fire.
Probably not based on sight alone, and unless you specifically have something that says the radiant energy reacts to you in some way, some terrible way, then probably not. But I mean, it's pretty easy to come to suspicions about it. It doesn't look like simple fire or anything like that. And I imagine you've seen spells cast before. But probably, if I had to guess, unless you want to throw me an Arcana check, it probably just looks like this spellcaster's take on a fire spell.
Alright, I'll throw you an Arcana check, because why not? Sure.
Yeah, I would say it probably just looks like this particular spellcaster's take on a fire attack of some sort.
Okay. Fair enough. So I would just assume that it's fire. I'll be like, okay, nothing to be too alarmed, because my character is always on the watch for anything holy, and radiant is holy.
I gotcha.
So I'm going to keep slashing this monster and
Go ahead
keep
and,
provoking him, basically.
Yeah, give me a roll.
15.
A 15 will hit. Go ahead and roll damage. Yes, you continue to hack at the creature. You take the step back, catch its claws on your shield, and then when it is hit by the fire, you make your way back in and start slashing away at it once more.
And as I slash it, I just want to look at it with my piercing eyes and go, come on, attack me. I'm the one that's going to hurt you more, you little puppy dog.
I gotcha. You scream, "Step it up, senpai," and continue to hack away at it.
Mm-hmm.
It's taking the hits, but you can't help but notice that as you kind of dig your blade into its flesh, that it is surprisingly resilient and resistant to your attacks.
Can
Jon,
I identify that in any way?
beyond it looking like your sword's not doing necessarily what it should, probably not.
Weird.
And Jon, what do you want to do?
All right. So, as we're sort of ganging up on this thing, I'm like, I said, boys, let's take this thing one at a time. And as I say so, I raise my warhammer for another swing.
24 will surely hit. Go ahead and roll that damage.
Nice. That's a 12, boys.
That's pretty good.
All right, and to follow up my swing, I sort of do a little pirouette and with my backhand I sort of bitch slap this little mutt.
You gonna action surge? Oh,
no.
shield bash. I got you. Yeah, I got you.
Which is a 7. I'd say athletic versus athletic, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Oh, so
athletics or acrobatics, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be athletics versus athletics in this case.
Yeah, no, I don't do anything.
So you smash the creature over the head with your hammer, and this time it actually lets out a yelp of pain, kind of like if you'd stepped on a dog's tail. And then as it kind of like reels back from the blow, you hit it in the head with your buckler, and you're expecting to push the beast back, and instead you meet some pretty severe resistance. And as your thing slams into its face, it finishes its reeling, and its eyes just lock on you.
Ugh, tough little bitch.
So as this happens, that orange glow has continued to get worse, and you guys can hear distantly screaming from within the village. Jon, you seem to be a very perceptive type, so I will even give you that you can hear, not too far away, in fact, the sound of panicked footsteps.
Of panicked footsteps?
Yes. Balthazar,
Okay.
What do you want to do?
Balthazar is gonna look and see that this creature has took a shit ton of blows, still standing. He's a tough one, and he's panicking at this point. So first, out of character, I'm gonna ask you. I know Jon has Shield Master, so he'll be fine. But Kaylen, will you be able to make a DC 13 deck save?
It doesn't matter, dude. Honestly, if I die, I come back in like 24 hours anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay,
so in that case, let's say I'm gonna take a -5 and try to hit this monster.
Dusk, Kaylen's motto is literally death is optional.
All right, let's see it then. Give it a roll.
Does that hit?
Unfortunately, that is 1 point too low.
No.
Oof, that is a shame.
Wait, what happens when a bomb misses? Does it just not go off?
It doesn't go off.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't go off.
Right.
The glass vial presumably fails to shatter on the inside, and it just kind of falls.
Yeah. If it doesn't go off,
and that is
can
exactly
we
what
salvage
happens
it?
as you toss the clay sphere at it, and it bounces off of the creature's shoulder before hitting the ground and rolling away into the darkness.
Hold on, DM.
Balthazar's like, God damn it!
Boy, dog ate fetch.
What's up?
Yeah, if it doesn't blow up, can he salvage it? Or can it be salvaged?
So this character, yeah, it fluff, but mechanically he has an infinite number of bombs. Like his basic attack is the bomb.
I got you.
Okay.
So then, flavor-wise, yes. In terms of mechanics, I guess who cares? Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that in mind, the creature sizes up the two opponents closest to him, and after the clay sphere hits him, he takes another tentative step back, and then he howls, and he tries to dash away. He's going to use his action to disengage from the two of you.
Prick.
And then let me check his speed real quick, is going to bound off into the fog and get a pretty good distance too. Approximately, 40 feet or so away from the two of you.
Gee.
But that is his action. Fiona, what do you want to do? This creature seems to be running off at this point.
Fiona's gonna run after it, saying stop, and it shouldn't
Okay.
be too far. She should still be able to sacred flame it, ish. So can I make that roll?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, that's a better roll. Oh, he saved! Oh, damn it.
Even with the enchantment you've cast on it, even with your mark, your hex, it manages to narrowly avoid the line of flame that spurts forth from your hand. You can see the sacred fire, hits the ground and burns the cobblestones for a second before suddenly extinguishing itself. But the beast is still moving. Kaylen.
Alright, so it's a bonus action to swap weapons, right?
It depends. Usually it is a free action once per turn, and then an actual action after that point. What are you trying to do? Describe the action to me.
Well, I'm gonna move 30 feet towards it, and then I want to swap my longsword for my javelin and throw a javelin at it.
If you want to drop the longsword, you can do that for sure.
Okay,
if you want to
so
sheath
I'll
it,
move.
probably not.
So sheathing is a bonus or action?
Sheathing in this case would be your free action, and then getting the next javelin out would cost you an action. Only the thief archetype of rogue can do item interactions as a bonus action.
Yeah. So dropping it. So would I be able to swap my longsword for javelin, throw a javelin at it?
Yeah, provided you drop the longsword, yes.
Alright, cool. So I'm gonna move 30 feet. So it's like, give me
It's about 10 feet distant from you.
Okay.
I would not use the actual. Don't measure distances on the table because I'd like this. This is actually going to be our splash screen after this fight.
Like that is like 30 feet.
Yeah, whatever. Like I said, I would not use this table as exact distances. If you move 30 feet towards it, you'll be 10 feet away, approximately.
Okay. So I'll be like there, right?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna drop my longsword in between my legs so I can keep it secure, and then I'm gonna pull out my javelin and throw a javelin at it. And be like, as I throw the javelin, I just want to be like, you're not going anywhere, doggy.
Go ahead and throw it for us. Give me that roll. All right, that'll hit. Go ahead and roll damage. Your javelin definitely strikes the creature, and as it continues to sprint away from you, you can see the haft of it sticking out of its flesh. Jon, the creature is rapidly gaining distance as it runs away. What do you want to do?
Can I roll an insight check or something to determine the intentions of this thing? If it's gonna flee out and away from the village to go lick its wounds somewhere else, I'm okay with letting it go, because it seems like there's more pressing threats in the village right now.
I will give you that the creature is sprinting towards the edge of the village. It's not like he's running into the center or anything.
All right. In that case, I sort of shout all right, let it go. Let it go. There's other threats in the village right now. Just put out fires one at a time, hey? Not literally. You're still good, Balthazar. Hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
That is acceptable. So then I will ask you, Balthazar, one last time, because after this point, there is no way anyone in the party is going to be able to catch up with the wolf.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? This will be the last action before combat ends.
So, gonna move 30 feet and say, "Yeah, run away, monster!" and throw a final orb at this guy, and hope that it hits.
Go for it.
13. Does that hit?
Yes, go ahead and roll damage.
19 damage.
Dang, oh dang. Oh, is that with, did you roll that first one with -5?
Yes, the -5, so it has the plus 10 damage.
Very nice.
Nice.
Yeah. That'll hit, and you see it, explode on the creature's ass as it makes its way towards the edge, and you can hear it yelp and scream in pain. You can see its, burning trail, which eventually, extinguishes, and you can kind of see, you watch the burning form make its way into the distance, leaving the four of you standing, in a very rough circle, very near where this battle is first initiated. And we will call that the end of combat. So, the sound of screaming has grown louder. You guys can hear people running in the streets, and the smell of smoke has only grown stronger. That orange glow, once faint and distant, is starting to get very bright, and the fog is kind of magnifying it all. It's cast the entire world into an eerie, hellish orange glow. What do you guys want to do? Tell me what you are up to.
At this point, I feel like it's pretty obvious that there's a fire going on somewhere around here.
That's a reasonable assumption to make.
So like I sort of, I guess I'm just sort of gonna grab one of the running civilians going about panicking, and I'm gonna be like, "All right, where is it? Where's the fire?"
It's been spreading all over. I saw it take the general store not even a few minutes ago. There's people in the village. I thought there were some of ours, but it might have been infiltrators. They're starting the fires.
What? Infiltrators?
Yeah, there's men. Men and women. I've seen them. They're taking torches and pitch. They're throwing it up on the roofs. They're lighting it all.
Son of a... Alright, where are they?
Hang on. What race are they?
I couldn't tell. It was.
There's not the time to be racist, stranger.
Racist. I'm making a point. You need to know your enemy before you rush into battle like a buffoon.
Hardly tell. Could barely see.
Okay. So you're saying they were just grabbing pitchforks for no reason and throwing them up and burning the town?
Not pitchforks, pitch. Like,
Okay.
Tar, essentially.
Okay. Right, that makes sense. So you're basically saying that a bunch of people just randomly came into the village and started throwing pitch and burning the village.
That's what I'm trying to get across to you. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Okay. Look at me for a second. Does that sound like a normal thing someone would do?
Doesn't matter.
Stops for a second.
They're doing it. We just have to stop them.
Stops for a second. He gives you a strange look. And he says, what about this do you think is normal?
Exactly my point. So obviously there's something more going on here than just a bunch of people throwing pitch. Either they're mad, they're crazy, or they're doing it for money, or someone's hired them to do it, or something along these lines.
Ain't you one of the constable's deputies? Ain't it your job to figure that kind of stuff out? I'm just trying to get out of here with my life.
Constable's deputies.
Right then, off you go.
He looks to the four of you for a second, and he kind of eyes you all suspiciously because it didn't occur to him. Like, he figured you guys were deputies, but now that he's looking at you, you all look very strange in comparison to the average person around here. And he gives you guys like a weird glance, but then he looks up again, and you guys can smell the smoke, and he can see the glow of the fire, and he sprints off. What do you want to do?
Farewell.
Fiona's gonna turn to Jon and ask, "Are we gonna fight people now?"
We're going to fight fires, is what we're going to do.
No.
I need to get to the town center and organize a firefighting brigade.
Look, Mr. Guard, dude, you can do that. I'm going to go find these people and beat the living shit out of them.
Right. I don't figure firefighting's your type of thing, but my priority is to save the town.
That's fair enough. I understand yourself. You want to protect and preserve the town the best that you can.
Right. So what's the plan?
I'll go with you guys. Better than being alone.
So then, is the plan to go through with John's initial reaction, which is to head towards the village center, where you guys sent poor Lionel all on his lonesome, and try and organize a firefighting, like a bucket brigade or something? You do have a lake very near the village, almost right up against it, so it wouldn't be too hard if that was the plan.
All I'm going to say to Jon is the fact that some people like using reverse psychology. So they'll expect the first thing for people to do is run to the middle of the town. So therefore they could run to the edge of the town using reverse psychology.
That's all well and good, but I couldn't care less about the people than I care about the actual fire that's going on right now.
Okay, listen to me for a second. Okay, it's like this, right? You destroy a bunch of bugs who come into your house, but you haven't destroyed the nest. So those bugs come in again, and then you destroy those bugs, and then more bugs come in, all because you haven't destroyed the nest. You understand what I'm saying here?
Alright, you make a little bit of sense. Fine. In that case, I'm going to go tell Lionel to organize the brigade, and we'll see how what's going on with the strangers going about town, eh?
That's what I thought. Thank you.
All right, and so that's what we'll do then. I go find Linus or Ninel, who should be fairly close by.
Yeah, he's actually, so just for reference, you could still hear the bell ringing. So he's probably doing what he said he was going to. Doing what you told him.
Yeah.
So in that case, you probably head towards the center of the village first. As you guys rush through the streets, you are met with the faces of many panicking people, all trying to flee towards the edges. The smell of smoke grows stronger as you reach the center of the village. And there, the large building that kind of serves as the town hall with its huge bell tower paid for at the city's expense. You can see that the town hall building itself is on fire. It's not burning terribly yet, but the roof of the main building itself, which sort of surrounds the stone bell tower, has caught a blaze. And still, you can hear the ringing. And as you get closer, the heat from the fire has dissipated some of the fog. You can look up and you can see a figure in the tower still ringing the bell. What do you want to do?
I sort of shout to Lionel, I guess. I'll be like, Lionel, stop that. It's fine, the town knows. Get down here.
You don't get a response. It's pretty high up. It'd be hard to hear, especially over the ringing of the bell.
Fine. Go. I guess I go find the building.
Wait, how
Hang
high
on.
up is it?
Distance. I mean, it's like a proper bell tower.
I got an idea. Yo, spellcaster, have you go out? Help him talk to his mate. Have you got any for that at all?
Throw a fire around one time and suddenly everyone knows you're a wizard.
Wait, I can't hear you because it cuts off a bit. What do you say?
I was asking if you had anything to assist this guard here to talk to his mate, who's very high up.
I can try. Okay, so DM, like the minor illusion can have a range of 30 feet. Would that be close enough if she projects a sound, like Lionel's voice calling for, no, John's voice calling for Lionel?
So the idea is you want to make essentially the source of John's voice 30 feet higher than it is right now?
Yeah, it's probably a screaming, Lionel!
Yeah, actually, I will totally accept that. I think that is a fantastic use of power.
Nice.
Alright, she's gonna do that.
The ringing in the bell stops, and suddenly at the bell tower window, you see the suit-smudged face of Lionel, very distant, and you hear him call down to you. His voice kind of echoing in the town hall. Is that you, constable?
Oi! Fire brigade! Fire brigade, Lionel! You hear me?
What's on fire? And then he looks down and he goes, "Oh, this is on fire!" And you see he backs away from the window. And
Yeah, I'm like, you're in charge, Lionel. You're in charge. Do you understand?
a few moments pass in silence, and then the two front doors of the the double doors of the town hall are pushed open, and Lionel runs out. He's got his shirt wrapped around his face, and smoke billows out after him, and he stumbles up to you, and he puts one suit smudged hand on your shoulder, John. He's coughing and he goes, "Constable, I'll ring the bell."
You did good, John. You did good. And now you need to organize the fire brigade.
He's still coughing, but he looks up at you and says, You're giving me the fire brigade responsibility? You trust me with that?"
You're in charge, Lionel. I trust you.
He wipes a tear away from his eye. He goes, "Thank you, Constable. I'll do my best." And he starts coughing again, and he wanders off into the fog, and he starts shouting for people to join him. And you see some of the panicked people stop, and you can see he speaks to them for a second before the 3 or 4 of them head off into the fog again.
Nice. All right. Cool. All right. Now that that's sorted out, let's go find the nest, shall we?
Yeah.
How do you guys want to do that? What's the plan?
Yeah, Mr. Smart Guard.
What is the plan? I mean, I guess the direction in which the fires are is probably a good idea.
Well, how about we go if we're looking for the people who started the fire, correct?
Yep.
Okay, bear with me. How about we go the opposite direction the fire is?
Fiona's?
Because you think that they'll be heading they're trying to get away at this point.
Think of it this way. If you were to start a fire, you wouldn't exactly be running towards the fire you just started now, would you?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I'll give you something. As he's saying this to you, right? Before you come to a realization, because you're standing in the center of the village, you can see one side is glowing from the fire, the opposite direction things are dark. And it occurs to you, direction things are dark in is the same direction the fog rolled in from, and it's the same direction that Lionel and the other deputies were first attacked from.
Okay, DM,
Well-
just want to ask, is that also the direction where the other howling was from? Because there were two howls.
Yeah, it's. I'll give you I imagine at the very least, John probably has a good enough sense of direction in the village to be able to make that out. Those howls that you guys heard, and even where you found the wolf, it's all kind of like a semicircle. Here, let me draw something for you on the map.
Damn, quick question. At this point in time, where is my soul wanting to take me?
Give me 1 second, and I will let you know.
Alright, Collins.
So, the spot in yellow, when I can pull it up.
Is it
So, yes.
said?
So that little yellow X there is where the first attack happened, and you guys followed that down to. Yeah, there you go. Give him some 6 sunglasses. You guys followed that down to. You guys followed that down to about. I'll mark that with a little X for you. You guys heard the howling from approximately around here and around here. And the fires, as best you can tell from where you're standing in the center of the village, I should probably use a color that isn't orange. It was silly to make the arrow orange if I had intended to do that. The fires are kind of spread to this side of the village, not nearly as intensely as they just drew there, but
a lot of fire.
That's representative. That's artistic interpretation. The fire is not actually that horrendously bad. They're like scattered fires. Like a house here or there has its roof burning or something. A few of the buildings have caught more extensive fire, and of course the town hall where you're standing is burning. But it seems like the fire is concentrated on.
Oh dear. Oh god. Oh dear. How do you deal with this shit?
Okay. I've got an idea.
Lay it on us.
So, I've got a theory on why the fire was started, and if you're willing to listen, I'm happy to tell you.
By all means.
Well, think of it this way. Say if us four were evil, and we wanted to either take over a town or kill some people in a town just for fun. We'd create a distraction now, wouldn't we? Because that would bring all the guards in the town too. We'd create a fire as a distraction, so that way all the guards would go to the fire, and they wouldn't be paying attention to the outskirts of the fire, away from the fire, what was actually happening away from the fire, because they're too occupied trying to put out the fire.
Saying the fire.
I'm saying that the fire could possibly be a distraction for something bigger. Example, if you wanted to genocide a whole village, you would create a fire, get all the guards and the tough people trying to put out the fire, while you take out the little folk. So that way you can take out the little people and you can basically genocide the rest of the town from there. But if you didn't want to genocide a town, you would just make the distraction, take the people for shits and giggles, basically.
Okay, listen up.
Fiona's gonna look
so
at Kaylen up and down, and she's gonna say, "You sound your thought sounds oddly realistic."
Yeah, I know.
Are you the mastermind behind this?
Yeah, because I'm the mastermind. I stay so close to my enemies, entering with them to take down myself. Because that makes sense.
That's the perfect motive. We would have never seen it.
Okay, listen up. If that's the case, do you think Leonhard, or whatever his name is, does he have this fire under control?
The town's well drilled. I'll say that.
Well, look, what I'm gonna is I may not sound like the guardiest person to you, but if I were guard of this town, if I were chief guard of this town, I would say, alright, you little rookie guards, you deal with the fire. Me and the experienced guards are gonna go find out why this fire was started. Hence, go after the people that started the fire. Which means going diagonal, so going away from the fire, opposite to the fire. Because that's where they would go. They would throw the fire and go the other way, away from the fire. And
all right, you make good sense. You make good sense, stranger.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take you at your word then. Let's go investigate on the other side of town, shall we?
I suggest letting me go first, since to me, let's just put it that I see death as it's an option.
That's a really weird thing for a person to say.
Yes,
but I've seen a couple of weirdos now and then.
look,
So I'm going to assume you're a good guy. All right, go ahead.
Well, if I'm in front of you, how exactly am I going to stab you in the back?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I suggest you be right next to me, Mr. Guard. You seem pretty up close and personal, just like myself. So I suggest we have a little marching order, and we have me and you next to each other, Mr. Guard, or close to each other, side by side, and the other two can be behind us since they don't seem to want to get up close to someone. I prefer the intimate touch, but obviously they do not.
Oh, definitely not. I'd rather stay behind.
Great. All right. That makes a lot of sense. Lead the way then, stranger.
Okay. I'll do the best. Actually, just because you said that, why don't you lead the way? You're so familiar with this town.
All righty then. I'll lead the way then. Okay. In that case, I'll take the party up north.
All right.
Away from the fire. Yep.
You guys start to make your way towards the north side of the village. As you do so, while most of the people have gotten out of the village by this point, you do know that those who are still fleeing seem to be headed in the exact same direction as you. You make it to the edge of the village, the same spot where you first encountered the blood, right next to the guard tower at the edge of the palisade, without any real resistance, seeing surprisingly nothing strange but the desperate fleeing of some of the few remaining villagers. And as you reach the edge of the encampment, you find a number of the survivors, number of the villagers who have kind of like gathered together and are, standing just outside the wooden walls watching their town burn. As you guys, approach, the hostess, Beatrice, who is, standing with them, sees you, John, specifically, and she says, "A constable, what's happening?"
Some strangers have set fire to the town, those bastards. Have you seen anyone that you haven't recognized?
I haven't, well, and she looks at the four of you, but specifically at the three of you, and she says,
Someone
"No."
that wasn't with me.
I mean, I don't think I've personally seen anyone. Most travelers pass, through and they stop at the tavern, and I'll serve them myself.
Anyone
And
shady?
she is interrupted. She's actually pushed out of the way by a large villager. He's taller than you, John, at like a towering 7'2". People say he's got giant's blood in it. They
Oh,
call
look,
him.
we got the incredible Sulk.
They call him.
Hodor.
And he's an older guy. He's like in his 40s. He's heavy set. Is probably a fair way to put it, but he's also extremely muscular, huge man. He is the guy who runs the ferry that sometimes passes over the lake, over to the far side. "I know who did this. I can tell you right now, Constable. It's them damn Vistoni."
Is there any...
Vistoni?
All right, John T. John. Have you any proof of this?
No, thank you, Constable.
"Well, you got the only other people not from our village with you, and I doubt they started the fire. So who else then? It ain't no one living. Not a man or woman in this village would ever burn down their own livelihoods. It's got to be the damn Vistoni. I swear."
That is very stupid logic, because you never know who is living in your town. Doesn't matter how close you are to someone, your best friend can be a murderer for all you know. So...
Oh, all right. Explain to me this then, Mr. Smart Guy. Those Vistoni, as cursed wretched people, show up, set up camp to the north a month ago, and the weather just keeps getting worse and worse. And then it's not just the rain, but the fog too. And now you trying to tell me that after, weeks of staying up there, right? Them bringing this fog with them, the fog just mysteriously rolls into town right at the same time people start setting the village on fire.
Look,
And now I'm hearing from others around here that it wasn't just fire.
I understand your sentiment, John T. John.
Let me deal with this guy, please.
All right, go ahead.
Look, big guy. All I'm saying is looks can be deceiving. The most shadiest...
You're trying to say that you're the one who started the fire? Is that what you're getting at?
If you would shut up and stop being a blubbering idiot and listen to me...
Yeah, that's a fantastic way of getting people onto your side.
Listen.
Do you want to roll a persuasion check for me?
Can I do a persuasion? I'm really good at it.
I feel like you're trying to cow this man into silence, considering you've already insulted him. I would much rather see an intimidation check from you.
Okay, that's fine. Let's go intimidation then. 19.
So I assume you fixed the man with like a particularly intense gaze.
I have. Kaylen has his sort of, because he looks creepy already, because he's basically dead. He has this little creepy stare that he has, just a like stare of presence, like listen to me, like a dominant stare, essentially.
I got you. You fix him with it. I assume there's a dramatically appropriate wind that blows your cloak back and, reveals the hilt of your sword as you kind of stare him down. And Bruce looks at you and he looks real firm at first, but then his gaze softens. He takes a step back and he says, "Look, I ain't saying you did it, but I am saying if it ain't them damn Vistoni, then I don't know who it could be. I ain't got any other suspects. I don't suspect you got any either."
No offense, big guy, but maybe you shouldn't suspect anyone by that tone. Just listen. What I'm trying to say is the most evil, most shady-looking person could be a very lovable husband who just happened to make cakes. All right.
All right,
And
all
the
right, all
most-
right, all right. Let's actually listen to his side of the story. Who are the Vistani?
Now, the Vistani are a traveling bunch, as far as I know. They pass through the town a couple of times a year, and they're generally pretty peaceable. That's the impression I got, and I've talked to them a couple of times. That's why I personally don't believe that they had anything to do with it. But I suppose it does.
The constable soft on him, but my granddaddy told me all about it. He says that the whole lot of them are witches. That the whole reason they crawl through them mountains is because they actually live in Barovia.
Look, big guy. If your grandfather told you you were an orphan, would you believe him?
I mean, he's my grandfather.
All I'm saying is you shouldn't believe every little thing someone tells you, no matter who they are. Your girlfriend could tell you she loves you, then the next day she's stabbing a knife in your back. So you shouldn't believe everything
You're awfully
someone's saying.
mistrusting.
Fiona's gonna put a hand
So-
on Kaylen's back and say, "It's okay, Kaylen. It's okay."
I would advise you, Fiona, please don't touch me. I don't like people touching me.
I know you don't seem to like anything.
No, I don't.
Okay. Listen. We're quarreling here, and it's not really helping. And he gives this. He's like shaking like a nerd, and he's like, okay, big guy, big sailor guy. Why don't you tell me where the Vistani live, and we'll check it out. We'll check out different things. We'll check out the Vistani as well. I'm not gonna go and slaughter anyone, but I'm gonna like see what's going on. Do you know where the Vistani live?
They got a camp to the north of here, just inside the woods at the foot of the mountain. I'm sure the constable can take you there.
Let's go have a little chat to them, shall we?
So I'm gonna look at the constable and say, the fire, your men can control it, right? It's not gonna burn the whole place down, right?
Oh shit! We should have got a bucket brigade together. The whole village is gonna burn.
Just
It's very astute of you, Bruce. Actually, Lionel's putting together a brigade to go find in the center of town.
Yeah, you're a big guy. Why don't you can probably lift like 5 or 6 buckets at a time.
You trust in Lionel to run the bucket brigade? Oh, dear God! And he claps his hands and he says, "Sailors, we gotta go help put out that fire." And a couple of other fairly burly, tough-looking men come out of the crowd and they nod to each other. And Bruce leads them back into the village.
All right, fire's in good hands. Let's go talk to some of this storm.
constable with their strength, they could probably take the whole damn lake over to the fire.
That's what I'm hoping.
Just take the lake and push it
Yeah.
over here.
It's simple, really.
Quick question to all of us as a group: who is good at talking and who is terrible at socializing? I need to know now.
Fiona's terrible.
Not me. My charisma is
I'm not.
like
I have a 0 to everything.
I can RP stuff, but if you ask for like actual mechanical roles, I'll suck at it.
I'm the opposite.
So, nerd boy, you're very bad at talking, correct?
Oh, wait. I can actually assist you because I have a proficiency in persuasion.
Well, I'm thinking, you can put in your input, but I'm thinking when we find this little group, I'm thinking I might just walk into their camp alone, due to the fact that, death is optional to me. I don't really care if I die; it's optional.
You keep saying
Nice.
that, but I don't think it. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Death is optional, my friend. You can option to die or to live. Simple as that.
Also, props to anybody who got that reference.
No, I didn't, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm thinking, in case they turn hostile, I will go in by myself, sheathed weapons and everything, and be like, "Hey, buddies, I'm here to have a little chat with you."
Right, but something
And
and forgive me for maybe misinterpreting who you are as a person, but something tells me that you might just start hacking and slashing if things don't go your way, which is not exactly what we all want.
No, I'm not gonna hurt them. I'm only gonna hurt them if they try and hurt me. Simple as that.
So, quick interjecting OSC. It's kind of late. Can we finish in like 10-15 minutes? We go to Vistani camp, we talk, and kind of end the session.
Yeah, it's
for,
about
like,
time
this
as
week.
well.
I was getting ready to bring the session to a close here in just a minute.
Yeah.
anyways.
Okay. Just that's fine.
So basically, we don't know who these people are. We're going into the unknown, so it's better off if I just walk in there. You guys try and stay hidden outside the camp. I walk in there, be like, "Hey, what's up? Need to have a chat with you guys about something." If they're hostile and try and attack me, I'll take them on by myself. Or you guys can choose to come out of the darkness and help me. But up to you, really. I don't want unnecessary people dying. I don't wanna be a
Sure.
villain again.
As long as you don't provoke anyone, but I mean, let's say you're kind of scary though. Like if you walk in with the brandishing the sword and stuff, it's people can get twitchy. How
Yeah,
about I
well,
go with you?
I'm a generally scary guy. That's the point.
Yeah, and I'm the polar opposite. So maybe if I just
Dude.
go in there, people will think that I'm.
Why don't we all just go? Because it feels like we're a lot safer together.
Yeah,
I
that's
agree.
true.
We should
but
all
Good
go.
point.
Listen, nerd boy, no offense, but you look like a pincushion.
I'll be
So I
fine.
suggest not going in there. You look like the kind of kid that people would bully for their lunch money.
Listen,
So
as far as the Vistani go, as much as the town despises strangers who live outside in their little camps, I really don't think that they're much dangerous. I've spoken to them before. They're not a threat. They're not what you think they are.
that
So
you
let's
know
just
of.
go and talk to them, and I'm sure everything will work out reasonably.
Yeah, that's a good plan. I like you. I
Up
like
to
you,
you.
Constable.
They might be less likely to attack when they see more of us, anyway.
Yeah, but if they see more of us, then they could get intimidated and be more likely to attack.
Okay. Stranger, weren't you the one who said that maybe you shouldn't judge people by their looks? I
No,
mean,
you shouldn't.
you
You
just
should
spent
judge
the
people
better
by
part
their-
of like 5 minutes back there defending the Vistani, and now you're saying they can't be trusted.
No, I'm not saying they can't be trusted. I'm just saying we shouldn't give them the wrong idea. We shouldn't scare them. Because when people are scared, they do stupid shit.
Listen,
Yes,
So-
and
they-
who's the
they know
scariest of
me.
us all?
Yes, you look like the
We-
scariest one.
Yes, but I would look even more scarier if I rocked up with 3 other people.
Then
Especially
maybe
look
you shouldn't be the one
harmless.
that's approaching.
Okay.
Okay.
Look, if you
Oh
want to
my
take
God.
that road, how about we send this little girl in? How about this little spellcaster girl goes in, looking like a traveler who just wants to talk to people, because she looks like the most innocent one out of
Well,
us.
maybe we should just send in the constable, who they
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
And
yeah, I agree with
Okay, sure. Send in the constable. We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll send in the constable. I like that idea.
right,
I
then
can
we're
go in
all
with him
going
as
in
well.
together. I like this idea.
Any of you guys got a mask at all?
Mask.
Yeah, I wouldn't
No.
want them to be scared of me, would I?
You can wrap a hanky around your face.
Yeah, and look like a bandit.
No, I'm fine.
Yeah, I feel like if you put on a mask, it'd look even more intimidating.
Uh,
All right. We're all decided then.
We'll
So
go in
then,
together.
Yes.
You guys,
Alright.
you
Yes,
guys
we'll
are
go
ready?
in together. Yay! I like you guys.
You guys are
So-
pretty strong.
Leaving the edge of the village and leaving the villagers behind, you guys make your way north towards what you guys suspect is the Vistani camp. And it's maybe an hour later. You guys are making your way up the trail towards the pass that leads into Barovia through the woods surrounding the mountain. When the fog starts to creep back towards the mountain, it's very strange at first. At first, it feels like the fog is thinning, but then all at once and very, very rapidly, the fog pulls away from you guys, headed backwards almost, like pulling away from you. And you are standing essentially still in an overcast kind of lighting as clouds have gathered, but no longer in the fog. And you guys can even see from where you're at that the fog pulls back at a fairly rapid pace until it is essentially just sitting in the edges of the trees.
This fog, does it?
God, the fog got so dangerous that it actually swallowed him. Do you want to run that by us again, Dusk? You broke up real bad.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was asking if this fog, does it look like strange, magical, or like any kind of like sentient fog or something?
It certainly doesn't seem normal. You're fairly confident fog doesn't move that way, and it's also got it's got a slight to it, but every once in a while it catches the light in a weird way, and it almost looks like a very soft, almost bluish purple.
Bluish purple. Doesn't the fog look poisonous by any chance? Because I'm like expert at those things, alchemy.
I mean, it doesn't look like any of the poisonous vapors you've personally interacted with, but it's hard to say. You'd probably need a sample. And it didn't kill you guys before when you were in the village, so probably not, but who knows?
Interesting.
So-
Something to keep in mind.
Here's how I want to end the session today. The four of you, have made your way north to the edge of the forest, and now standing before you, the dark, treacherous woods, the path that cuts through it, and the ominous fog, which strangely seems to have pulled back from the village to just the forest. And as you guys approach, as you reach the edge, you hear from out in the woods the howl wolves. We are going to end with you guys standing essentially at the entrance to the forest. And next time, we will see about reaching the Vistani camp and whatever it may contain.
So have you guys seen like Tales from the Crypt? I imagine that like the crypt keeper just saying, "Stay tuned for next time."
Perfect.
Oh, that's an old one. Okay.
That is
Alright,
a very old one, yeah. Holy
Yeah,
shit,
okay.
that's
Thank
a
you,
throwback.
guys.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty amazing. I never had any game before able to play.
Will you run that by me again? You broke up again.
Oh, I was saying
Yeah.
that this was pretty amazing because I've never had a game before, including Call of Cthulhu games, where the DM was actually able to simulate horror in a tabletop game, like the ambience.
Well, good. I'm glad I could relay that feeling to you. I like to end. I like to end every session by asking if you guys have any comments, questions, criticisms, concerns, anything you want to say about the game. And then I usually go round robin, and if not, or if everybody says their piece, I will dismiss you guys. So I'll ask that now. Any comments, questions, criticisms, or concerns?
Well, I just wanted to say that Dusk over here in the whole group is at the moment how it's looking is Dusk is like the little brother who gets beat up for his lunch money. Lina is the little sister who gets favorited by everyone. Geom is like the big buffy big brother, and I'm like the little. I'm like the shady brother.
Middle
who
sibling.
Middle brother.
You think you know everything about, but he's kind of scary.
We're a family.
The guy who sneaks off at night to go to parties and shit.
Yeah, boy, I do. I drink and smoke cigarettes.
Yes, he's the guy that if everybody else assumes is a drug dealer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I like it. I like the dynamic we have going so far. I'm looking forward to seeing how it will continue to grow and evolve. I like the characters.
I
Any-
also
Oh,
to
What was that?
you broke up with us again.
Yeah.
never mind.
Anyone else? Anything you guys want to say?
I quite like the way you describe stuff. It was really quite immersive. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Good. All right, I got nothing else for you guys. So if you are content, I will call it here, and you guys are dismissed for the morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you're at.
3
and we
a.m.
will reconvene.
5 a.m.
Yeah.
1 a.m.
There's a lot of there's a broad time zone. There's a very large range of possible times it could be for you guys. So whatever time of day it is, I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you guys next Sunday.
Okay, thank you,
Sure.
DM.
Cool.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye.